Friday night, starting with appreciation fans, really student section. Thought it had some good energy on a Friday night at 8 o'clock, so I appreciate all of that. All of those that came out, especially our students, recapping the film. A lot to digest, but in general, kind of like we felt first half, a lot to like offensively. Third down rate, doing a good job in the red zone. Defense getting a couple of stops, and so was pleased with how the thing started. Obviously got into the third quarter and was not. And really all three phases. Defensively, gave up a couple of long scoring drives. Could have had chances to get off the field in the third quarter, didn't get that done. Offensively, didn't move it to be able to counteract and separate more on the scoreboard, but was pleased in the fourth quarter to continue the resolve, finding a way, defensively holding up, and then closing the thing out. So found a way to win a game, which was big because it sets up for a big game this Saturday against a good opponent. I think Rutgers is good. You look on this tape, physical, well-coached, disciplined team, experienced quarterback, but one of the best running backs we will play all season. This guy is good, and that starts with a good offensive line in front of him. So a real challenge, but excited to celebrate senior class, last home game, and all of that. And we got a lot to play for. So I know these guys are excited to put in some work this week and take on the challenge on Saturday. Jack, like I said, after good spirits, he was in the team meeting yesterday. You wouldn't notice anything watching him move around. He's going to continue to get a couple more evaluations, but currently all the thorough evaluation that he has gotten, he's cleared that. So that'll be determined toward the end of the week if he's available.
And then as far as you guys are concerned, in talking about bowl eligibility before, you always said, well, we got to take care of one at a time. But is it now something that you bring front and center to the team and kind of just as a topic to address?
Yeah, we'll talk about, again, this is an important game for multiple reasons, right? Our last home game for some of our seniors, the opportunity to keep this group together for, call it another month, is if you can have success this Saturday. So all of that should add to their motivation. Still goes back to the approach this week of getting ready and knowing we're going to have to earn it. You got to earn wins, earn the opportunity to go to bowls against a challenging opponent in Rutgers.
After the game, Hayden was asked about Jack's injury. He took a lot of ownership of the ball he threw. I think he even called it a killer shot ball. I'm curious, do you think he's being fair to himself as the quarterback?
Again, I appreciate he's looking out for his teammates, and at that position you want to do that. But this is a bang play. They're in a 3-deep scheme where that post safety is you're trying to get them work one way, so you can kind of thread that in there down the seam. And the safety made a good play on the ball. It was a good hit. Wasn't targeting in any way, and those things you don't want them to happen a bunch. But it's a physical game, and that's what took place.
To follow up on that, you think that's maybe a sign of Hayden's leadership? He puts his hand up and says, hey, that's on me, and
yeah,
pretty bad situation.
Going back to it, he cares about his teammates and that, and he's been a great teammate leader throughout the year.
Wondering about the run game. Early in the game, we were getting K-Run some good touches, just kind of where that's at, and the ability to kind of use Nate in a different way in more of a passing game. That seems like that was a big emphasis, both him and K-Run in the pass game. Yeah.
I really think both those guys have really grown, improved in the pass game. I mean, Nate especially, you think about some of these tough catches he's come up with, and both of them could be weapons that way. And so we want to be multifaceted at that position, not just carrying it. We want to be able to throw it to them and get them in space where they can do some things with the ball in their hands. And then you throw in the protection side of where those guys got to be able to pick up blitzers and things. And both of them, I think, have really improved throughout the year in all three phases.
Hi, Jonathan, you said at the outset of your comments, you talked about the appreciation for the fans and playing here at Spartan Stadium. And even at the beginning of the season, your first one, I think you talked about your appreciation. Now with, quote unquote, everything hanging in the balance, you get to play at home against a solid team. Can you talk about the importance of home field advantage and having fans engaged and supporting the team right now? Yeah,
home field advantage is huge, and the fans are a factor in that, the energy they bring, just the atmosphere that's created when you got a lot of people in the seats that are cheering on these guys. Again, these guys put a lot of work in this year. Some of these guys a long time around this place. Understand it's holiday weekend and things, but really counting and would appreciate an awesome crowd this Saturday to say goodbye to these guys, and we're playing for postseason play.
Good, thank you.
Hey, Jonathan, the third quarter scoring differential kind of sticks out when you look at it. Anything you can point to, things that you see or notice, like why things in the third quarter have gone that way?
We took a look at that actually a couple weeks ago, because you're talking about the totality of the season, right? And we've looked at even adjusting some things at halftime, whether, from the communication side or getting them ready, pointed it out to the group. I think we've had only a couple of games where we've played better than the opponent in the third quarter. I've given our coaches a hard time, like what kind of halftime adjustments are we making here? If we're, so we have looked at it. Obviously, we did not have it solved last week either.
I'm wondering for this week in particular, you're going against the quarterback and Calagnanos that Joe has seen daily for 3 years up to this point. I guess I wonder how much you rely on what he's seen, maybe some of the tendencies that maybe he gleaned in going against him.
We haven't talked specifically on that, me and Joe, on his history. I know he's a good player, experienced, done a nice job with the ball. You look at these guys' turnover ratio and things like that, but I don't know. I'd have to ask on Joe's end how much he's leaning into his past experience.
It's kind of a weird
It is.
dynamic that, maybe 2-3 years ago doesn't exist, but now with the portal, it seems like it's.
Right, especially at the amount of time he had, those two had together. There's got to be, on both sides, right? Not just us, and kind of Joe having some experience of knowing maybe some tendencies or talent. It's the same way on the quarterback side.
Jonathan, I was wondering what you thought of the end of the Rutgers-Illinois game as a coach in a situation like that where obviously it backfires on them.
Yeah, that's a little bit how these things can backfire, or it can be the right play. The guy bangs the thing through. You call timeout. It's the smart move. And so, you call a timeout. I've been in that situation. I've done that before. Ultimately, it comes down to Illinois made a huge play right after that, and that's why that's what we sign up for as players and coaches in this arena. You got to make some decisions and make some plays and live with the results.
Coach, with at least one game left, I think it's safe to say you guys haven't played a complete game yet. How much of that is going to be an emphasis this week?
Yeah, we're trying to play our best ball toward the end of the year. We try to get 60 minutes of a complete game. Complete doesn't mean perfect. It's not going to be a game of perfect. Even looking at last week, there's going to be some punchback, momentum changes in games, and then we need to be able to answer that. We want to play effective, consistent, complete for 60 minutes, and if we can put that together, it gives us our best chance to win.
Jonathan, I'm curious what effect a bowl game has on recruiting these days. I know players have a lot more to think about, a lot more to play for in their careers. What do you think the effect of a bowl game might be for recruiting these days?
Well, I think it shows the progress for us individually here in year one. You'll be able to show some progress, right, and momentum moving forward. You get more time with your current roster, and I do think the current roster helps a ton in recruiting. And so it means a lot to be able to continue this group working together that helps build for the foundation of the next groups to come.
And then we heard a lot about Maverick Hansen as a leader in the locker room. I'm curious what your experience has been coaching this season.
This place means a ton to him. The team means a ton to him. He had one of his best games this last Friday. That's another reason you talk about the motivation for this game. A guy like that to go out on a winning side in his last game in Spartan Stadium would mean a ton.
Hey, Jonathan, I was wondering with all the injuries of the youth in the secondary, how you thought they performed with a trio of true freshmen out there playing
Right.
snaps.
Yep, as a group, those guys continue to battle, and it's a good thing that we are getting some real snaps with these young guys. I don't think the stage has been too big for them. They've been in the right spots. You didn't see a lot of just flat out busts and coverage and things. We're optimistic on some of those young guys you mentioned with Jalen and that crew, that these guys can be good players here for a long time.
The follow-up to that, do you expect any of those guys back with Rucker and Tatum or, there's so many.
I know.
Spencer, that was the other one.
Right. Spencer, no. Brantley, no. Tatum, no. Rucker, no. This week.
And how's that juggling act been? You're obviously on the offensive side, but As you're seeing that, how has that juggling act been to kind of, I guess, put the Band-Aid on?
Right. It's not easy, but I do think these coaches, Blue Adams, Demetrius Martin, Joe Rossi overseeing the thing, they've done a nice job of like, because we've had them go down within games, and then the next guy needs to be able to get out there and be ready to play. And they've been ready. And, you know, I go back to just the flat out assignments. They're in the right spots. They know the calls. Motion goes across, and the adjustments get made. We haven't had a lot of blatant busts out there, and sometimes that shows up when you got newcomers in the game. And so they've managed it. The guys are still playing hard. They're still practicing, staying locked in the meetings. And there probably adds to some motivation that guys have actually gotten in the game and been able to perform.
Jonathan, you mentioned a couple times lately, like how much certain guys have been around a while here, have been through a lot. I'm wondering how much your sort of understanding and appreciation of their journey has grown over these 11-ish months, I guess, now. And do you think that has any effect on, you got, pretty across the board, everybody's said that the buy-in has always been pretty high for you since you guys are back. Do you think what they've gone through sort of helped them turn directions pretty quick and buy into what you guys were trying to get done?
Yeah, I think it was important early on to kind of learn their stories of why they chose Michigan State, what their experience had been. And again, it hadn't been all negative. There's been some good stuff to it, but they have been through a lot. And so I got a lot of respect for the guys that have been around here, been through that, and them helping being catalysts for this team moving this season, and ideally springboarding us forward. We'll look back on this group being something that really helped us lay a foundation.
Getting back to the freshman defensive backs, Denson and Thompson. Thompson started, and Denson both games came in and took some snaps also. Is that a deal where those two are competing, or do you want to kind of level out the snaps for durability reasons, or just switching those off?
A little bit. Thompson, he got nicked a little bit in his ankle. We're hopeful he'll be back, and I mentioned that. And that's why Denson got in. Denson's been doing some stuff on special teams, and we feel confident with him out there. And then you throw Brinson in at corner some. So those three guys, I'm not saying one's like way above the other. We feel good with all three of them getting snaps.
Also on Childs, each week you're probably evaluating how he's doing with his reads and progressions and decision making. How did he do this week in the first quarter, third quarter, and so on?
Yeah, pretty solid. Inaccurate early on a couple of easier throws that he's capable of making. You know, he's done taking care of the ball. You talk about decision making the last couple of weeks. That's been great. You throw in the added offense that he gives us with the pull game and the run game, and extending, scrambled a couple of times. So overall on his decisions, I thought he showed a couple of maturity reps too of getting through his progression. Right, whatever. Start on the left, work 1, 2, 3, all the way to 4, which was great to see when he was getting some protection. So yeah, there's progress there, and I do think he's improved throughout this year.
Anything else? All right.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.